Hey everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how I made this layered stamp Mother's Day card using our Ditsy Bits stamp set. Now let's get started with our layered stamping. I am taking this out of one of our storage pouches, which we have for sale in our shop, and I will link it in the description box below. We're going to stamp the stem and foliage layer first, but I used the coordinating die to help me gauge where I should stamp this on my cardstock panel because I want to make sure that all the images are within this panel. Next, I'm going to take the floral portion or floral stamp, line up the bars and squares, which is part of our patent pending grouped layering system. After I've lined up the bars and squares of the stamp to the stamped image, I'm going to stamp this with our bubblegum dye ink. Then I'm going to take that second floral layer, line up the bars and squares, and stamp this in our cherry dye ink, and this is the finalized panel. Here are just a few samples that I've created using our Couture color layering inks, and you can see there are a bunch of variations, and our grouped layering system makes it very easy to mass produce these small floral images. And then I took the coordinating die and die cut all of the stamped images in one single pass. So you can see it is so easy to create a bunch of these die cuts using our Ditsy Bits stamp set and the rest of our grouped layering sets. Then I'm going to use the Happy Word die from our Bold General Greetings die collection and the second largest die in our nested pierced A2 nested die collection. And I'm going to die cut both dies together on this panel that is slightly smaller than A2 size. Once I've ran the dies with the panel through my die cutting machine, I'm going to carefully peel everything up, poke out all of the pieces from the happy die. You want to make sure you save all of those little pieces within the A and the 2 P's. Before I start doing any assembling, I have an A2 size panel that I've used the largest die from the same nested pierced collection to add the pierced details around the edges. And now I'm going to start adhering some Ditsy Bits behind my die cut negative piece. I'm going to choose a few of the smaller pieces, and you can see that I trimmed some of them, and I'm going to test out whether they look good behind the negative piece. I already have some foam tape surrounding the negative die windows on the rear of my panel, and I'm going to continue putting foam tape along the edges. That way I can pick up those Ditsy Bits a lot easier than if I was kind of tucking them in. My goal was to have individual die cuts in, or rather behind each windowed letter, and that's why you see me kind of trim off certain pieces of the die cut. I didn't want one die cut from one letter kind of flowing into the next letter. I wanted to contain the die cuts per window. I just thought that the design would look a little bit more elevated this way because it'll look like you did put a little bit more effort into actually making the card during this process rather than just sticking a bunch of die cuts behind the windows and having them flow into each other. I think that that would have been totally fine. It would have looked fine, but I wanted to take this a step further. So this card or design did take a little bit more effort than my usual designs, but I was totally fine with it because I had a little bit of time to spend at my craft desk today. And I also wanted to film a video for you guys that was not a watercoloring video because I realized after I looked back at our YouTube upload list, the last few projects have all been watercoloring, and I don't want you guys to get bored or fatigued with the channel. So I decided to whip up this design for you guys, and I hope you are enjoying the process. And here you can see me just filling in some of the empty areas behind the letters with smaller die cut pieces. Another idea that I had while I was making this card was to use one of the dies in the same Bold General Greetings die collection and create a similarly designed card, but instead of using all different color florals, kind of use the same tone. So maybe keep the cool tones like blue and purple flowers or warm tones like red or orange flowers or all yellow flowers, kind of keep the color palette consistent within each letter. But for this card, I chose to go with all different colors. There are a lot of possibilities with this design, and especially because we also have different word die collections. We have our bold amazing greetings, we also have our sweetheart word dies, and our love and hugs word die collections. I will make sure to link everything in the description box below. Next up, I'm going to use the Mother's Day sentiment from our Banners Holiday Add-on Mini Set, and I'm just going to partially stamp the Mother's Day portion onto a sentiment strip. Lastly, I'm just going to add some enamel dewdrop dots onto our card in visual triangles, and my card is now complete. I hope you guys enjoyed today's project and video. Filming this was a really nice break from watercoloring. While this card itself is not going to be super easy to reproduce because it is a little labor intensive, there is a lot of extra special care that was put into this, so I think my mom will appreciate this card. That's all from me today. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because I update it regularly. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.